Welcome, everybody. Go ahead and come on in. We're going to wait and let folks file in and get started right at 6. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We know that you have a lot going on, so we really appreciate your time and attention and for joining us this evening. We want to congratulate you first on your admission to UC Santa Cruz. It's a very exciting step, and we hope you're going to get a lot of important information out of this session. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about how the webinar is going to go, and then do some introductions, and then jump right in. So next slide, please. So for the webinar, you may notice the webinar is being recorded today. That means if you come in late and you miss something, we're going to go ahead and send this to you afterwards if you registered, so that way you won't miss any important information. During the presentations, the webinar is going to be, cameras are off for participants, participants are muted, and the questions are also off until we get near the end of the presentation. And that way we can focus on this piece, and maybe some of your questions will be answered in the meantime. Once we get to the end of the presentation, we will turn the question feature on. So go ahead and submit any questions you have through the Q&A. If you see a question that you also have, then you can use the thumbs up to give it the upvote, and we'll be answering questions based on order of how many students have that. So if a lot of students are asking the same question, we want to make sure to get to that right away. So some of the questions we may answer in the chat, and some of them we'll answer live during the Q&A. But don't worry, we will get to your questions and we will record them so that if we don't get to them, if we run out of time for any reason, we can reach out or connect later so that you have them. So next slide, please, Nancy. Thank you. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about EOP, which is Educational Opportunities Programs, and EOP STEM. EOP is a great program. I was a banana slug myself. I went to UCSC. I was an EOP student, so it's near and dear to my heart. and you have some fantastic staff from that office to talk to you about that. We have a wonderful science excellence advisor who's going to be speaking to you today. I'll be talking to you about Summer Edge and your opportunity to start early this summer. And then we have a financial aid advisor with us to talk to you about summer financial aid. And then we'll get to the Q&A. I do want to point out that we're focusing a lot on summer enrollment and summer financial aid. So if you have fall questions, that's going to come later in your slug orientation course. But you're going to learn a lot about some of the services that you have on campus and the resources to connect you. Next slide. All right, in terms of who you have here today with you, we have the wonderful Nancy Gonzalez Reyes, who is our EOP STEM counselor and success coach. Amy Sanchez is our science excellence advisor. My name's Lindsay Osborne. I'm the summer programs and academic manager. And Louise Melgoza is our financial aid peer and special programs coordinator. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Nancy to get you started with your EOP information.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on, this Tuesday evening. Appreciate it. I'll be covering some information about EOP. EOP at UC Santa Cruz stands for Educational Opportunity Programs. We are the hub here on campus that supports students who are first generation, low-income students, or students who are coming to our campus with marginalized identities, marginalized backgrounds. This can really include things like you have family members who are undocumented, you come from a ethnic background that is a minority, whatever your positionality is. If you happen to notice that there are additional barriers to you, we are the resource that's here to support you. And our goal is to really support students as they navigate their time here on campus as first generation students. We know that there's a lot of barriers that come from just existing at an institution that maybe wasn't built for us. And so we are here to answer your questions, provide background information and guidance as you focus on your academic, professional, or personal goals. One quick thing that I love to add about our EOP office here at UC Santa Cruz is that most of our staff is actually UCSC alum. I myself graduated in 2020. I was a EOP student myself. And most of us here on our team are also first generation students. So we know exactly what it feels like to be the first in our family to be navigating this new time in our lives. And just for the sake of defining what first gen means for us, because it's defined in various different ways, being a first generation student for UC Santa Cruz means that you are the first in your family to attend a college or university in the United States. So even if your brother, sister, sibling attended a college or university, you're still part of that first generation. And even if your parents attended a college or university, let's say in Mexico or a different country, you are still first generation because you're the first in your family to attend a college or university in the United States, which is vastly different from other countries. Let's go into who we support here on our campus. So like I mentioned, the easiest way to get connected to us is if you selected that you were first generation on your UC application. And we do check financial aid status to ensure that we're supporting low-income students. So that's kind of the main way to get tagged as an EOP student. There's no application that is needed for our program. If you check those two boxes, you are automatically enrolled to get all of our emails that will start coming in the summer. However, there are specific groups of students who we also accept into our program if they're associated with one of the programs that you see here on our screen right now. So that can include folks who are transfer students who are part of EOPS at your community college, and you're now transferring in, that automatically awards you EOP status. If you're part of any of our Resilient Scholars programs, an independent student underground scholar, or part of, for example, our Bees program here on campus, that also allows you to be automatically tagged as EOP, regardless of if you are considered low income or first generation yourself. You will not know if you are part of EOP until after the intent to register deadline has passed. However, let's say you know for a fact you are first generation, you know for a fact that you are low income, and you haven't received our emails in the summer, you can reach out to us. We do have an appeal process which allows students to request that they are tagged as EOP so you can get access to our services. This appeal process won't be open until after the Attend to Register deadline. But if you know that this is happening to you, you aren't getting our emails to your UCSC email address, please reach out to us. Our email address is really simple, eop@ucsc.edu. Request the link for the appeal and fulfill that as soon as possible. Once it's completed, one of our EOP counselors will review your documents, and if we see that you check the boxes, then you are automatically granted EOP status. And the appeal process can be completed at any time during your time here at UC Santa Cruz. But the sooner the better. That way you start getting all of our information, newsletters, and connected to our resources. Okay, now that I've gotten my whole spiel about what EOP is, let's get into some more concrete examples of how we support our students. So again, with our focus really being first generation low-income students, we provide different programs within our umbrella EOP department that support students depending on different positionalities. The first one is our broadest form of support. This is something that is accessible for all students, and they can access this at any time. It's our counseling services. So our counseling team is made up of 5 EOP counselors. There's 3 STEM-specific counselors, including myself, and 2 academic counselors that support students regardless of their major. And we are here to provide that one-on-one support. We know that when you're transitioning to campus or getting ready to move to our campus, there's a lot of questions that come up, right? From like, what classes should I take to what should I bring for move-in? These questions might seem silly. I love those silly questions. I had those silly questions. I'm your person you can ask those to. So come to our counseling services to get that support and get those silly questions answered. Once you've kind of transitioned a bit more, there's going to be more concrete topics that you might want to talk to a counselor about. Things like, you know, what do I do with the financial aid? I don't know how to get connected to them. We get a lot of those questions. We are able to support with that at a very broad level before we transfer students out or refer students out to our financial aid office. We also get questions around what classes are needed for my major, how could I prepare for professional development opportunities, or, just wanting to vent about your roommates or the fact that you've never been away from home and it feels really scary and sometimes lonely. So that's what our counseling services are for. It's really broad, and I know that I'm mentioning a lot of topics that you can come talk to us about, doing that very intentionally because these are the topics that we actually get students talking about in our office. So our counseling services are offered both in person and online to make it a little bit more accessible for students. And we, again, all of our counselors are first generation. All of our counselors have attended a UC in the past. And so we're really here to provide that guidance and be really intentional with the advice that we give our students. I also mentioned previously, within our EOP general department, we have different smaller departments. One of them is our wellness program. I love our wellness program. It's led by our amazing academic counselor, Lucia. And this is a program that's specifically funded by student fees. So part of your tuition that you pay every quarter funds this wellness program to provide you more access and opportunities to athletic and recreational activities. And this can include physical well-being, but also emotional well-being activities. We've taken students kayaking, hiking on campus, zip lining. We also have like yoga classes, boxing classes. So there's a plethora of opportunities for students who are interested in these options. And the main purpose of them is to allow you to practice physical and mental well-being while being connected to resources, not just on our campus, but also in our wider community. So oftentimes we partner with programs in Santa Cruz or up in San Jose to allow students to experience the community as a whole that we're part of as being students of the UC Santa Cruz community. And here are some lovely pictures of some past events that we've had. We have kayaking down here on the left bottom corner, which is really popular. We also take students ziplining pretty often. We have our annual pumpkin carving event where we provide the pumpkins. You just provide the designs. It's always a lot of fun. And then my personal favorite as a dog lover is our wellness event where we bring therapy dogs whenever there's midterms. Come by for an hour, pet a dog. It really recharges you. We usually have sandwiches as well, and it's such a great time. The volunteers are absolutely amazing. But we also have more concrete skill building options like cooking classes, which we've offered in the past as well. So a lot to look forward to with our wellness program. Within EOP, we also house our undocumented student services, also known as USS. And our undocumented student services program provides opportunities for students to connect with our staff, who is here to advocate and support whether you are undocumented yourself or you have a family member who is undocumented or you're an ally. We are here to not only provide you with the resources to stay informed, but also concrete programming. We have peer mentorship where you can connect with students who are usually in their third or fourth year, hear about their experiences. We do offer free legal assistance, which I'll talk about in the next slide. We also have an UndocuSlug newsletter where we provide specific information regarding events that are coming up in our community, but also our wider campus community. And we have scholarships and other types of financial support for students who might not be able to access a traditional financial aid package. Once you are enrolled at UC Santa Cruz, you'll have the ability to opt into the newsletter. That's the best way to get connected. But their email address is also here if you want to get more information sooner than being enrolled in the newsletter. I talked about this not too long ago, but under EOP, we do also have our UC Immigrant Legal Services Office, also known as USIM. This is free legal representation that's offered through our campus, which allows students to get legal representation and immigration legal services by an attorney on our campus. So Lily is our attorney. They're housed on our campus. They support our students whenever either they need legal representation or they have an immediate family member that's a parent, a sibling, or a spouse or a child who needs legal representation. They are available 24/7, essentially, and they provide one-on-one consultations for our students. They also host our monthly Know Your Rights workshop where they talk about key topics related to immigration policy and answer general questions about what is best to know at this time. So this is definitely something that is super important. And again, this is free to all UC students and immediate family members. The last program that I will talk about today is EOP STEM. So we support all students, like I mentioned. Every student who is part of our UCSC EOP community is able to walk through our doors and access our resources. But through a lot of data collecting and a lot of hearing our students' experiences, we have learned that our STEM students oftentimes face barriers and hidden curriculums that go beyond what we knew before. So our students are really navigating a completely different playing field as they navigate the more difficult STEM courses, competitiveness, and getting research opportunities. And to support that, we have three EOP STEM counselors, myself, Amelia, and Lady. We support students who are proposed or declared in a STEM major or minor, and that can be in any of our division. It can be in basket engineering, it can be in our physical and biological sciences, it can really be in any major. We also support students who are just interested in maybe taking a STEM major or a STEM minor or are just taking a STEM class. Everyone will take a math class and not everyone will love it, but if you want to get support for it, you can come to us and we'll be happy to chat with you about that. Apart from our counseling services and that one-on-one conversation that we host for our students through counseling, we also have specific STEM resources that support students more concretely. So we have two cohort-based programs that you actually can apply to be a part of that support students in their first and second year at UC Santa Cruz. The first one is Rise Scholars Program. This supports students who are first-year students in PB-Sci majors, so physical and biological science majors, who want to get connected with a peer mentor and a dedicated staff in that first year while you're transitioning to taking classes here at UC Santa Cruz. For your second year, which is really when you are in the depth of declaring your major, solidifying what you're going to do here at UC Santa Cruz, we have our Raíces program, which is specific for students to get support as they're declaring. And it's also a peer-to-peer mentorship program. So you have a dedicated peer mentor in either their third or fourth year, and then you also have a dedicated counselor who you meet with throughout the year. And through those programs, we also have peer advising and STEM focus events that really deal with topics related to finding research on campus, connecting to your professors, benefits of using tutoring and other support service, academic services to allow you to get additional support in more STEM heavy courses. And through it all, we have, again, our counseling team who's really dedicated and here to point you in the right direction, and support you in whatever way we can. Given that most of the students on this call are probably going into their first year, I did want to give a very specific shout out to our EOP Rise Scholars Program. Biasly, also because I am the coordinator of the program, but this is an amazing support that can help you if you are a STEM major in physical and biological sciences and are looking to get more connection as you're transitioning in your first year. So RISE stands for Rising, Inspiring, and Science Excellence. We work with students in their first year as they get connected to campus resources, build their STEM identity. Through this program, you get connected with a peer mentor that you work with for the entire first year that you're here on campus. You get myself assigned as your counselor, and we meet on a quarterly basis to ensure that you don't have any financial aid holds, you know, what classes you need to register for. You're making a plan to work towards your major, and just answer any other general questions that you might have. Applications for this program will open in the summer, so keep an eye for that once you have fully, committed to coming to UC Santa Cruz. And if you ever have any questions, you are more than welcome to email us again at eop@ucsc.edu. That is all for me. It's a lot of information for EOP, but I will now pass it on to Amy.
Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everyone. I'll just briefly reintroduce myself. My name is Amy Sanchez. I use she, her, ella pronouns. And I'm one of two science advisors at UCSC with a program called Science Excellence Advising, which is distinct from the RISE program that Nancy just mentioned. I just recognized the overlap in our names there. This slide here really points to the number of advisors that you have access to once you get started at UCSC. We're a unique university where you have a network of advisors, which can be really beneficial because it means that you have a whole host of people who you can go to for support, and you might want to go to specific folks for specific questions. So what we have here is a little diagram that shows your college advising, your major advising, and SciEx advising. And at SciEx, we are your first point of contact for majors in the physical and biological sciences division. So that is distinct from Baskin engineering. If you are an engineering major, we can help direct you to your appropriate advisors, but you do have your own support network. For physical and biological sciences, if we can go on to the next slide, I can show you what majors we support. We have 7 different departments in this division: chemistry and biochem, EPS or earth and planetary sciences, ecology, evolutionary biology, mathematics, microbio, MCD, I'm going to shorten them for time, and physics. And then within those departments, there are majors that these departments host. So if you're coming in proposed in any of these majors, or if you're coming in undeclared, but you think you might want to move into one of these majors, then you should make sure that you're getting emails from us really starting in July. We will be available for you all as early as then. If we can go on to the next slide, please. All right. So you're going to hear from us frequently throughout your first year. We're going to invite you to attend our webinars throughout summer, and to connect during Summer Edge if you choose to participate, which Lindsay will talk about in a bit. And then all throughout your first year, particularly during enrollment and key milestones, we're there to support you in picking your classes, making sure that you're making progress in the ones that you need to be making progress in, because there are certain courses that you'll want to prioritize within your first 2 years, actually, but specifically your first year to make sure you stay on track. And then anytime you have questions about science or math majors at UCSC or really anything under the sun, we have a very open door policy. You're always welcome to stop by and say hi and ask whatever question you have. Um, I don't think that there is any question you shouldn't ask because I was also a first gen student and there were a lot of things I didn't know that I didn't even know I didn't know. So if you have any doubts, make sure you just ask and we'll help you out as best as we can. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Lindsay now to talk about Summer Edge.
Thank you, Amy. All right, so as newly admitted students, you have a unique opportunity to start early at UCSC. That early start program is called Summer Edge. Essentially, right now you are admitted to the fall quarter, and for that reason, you may register for Summer Edge if you decide you want to take some summer classes, and we'll set you up for an earlier start this summer. So a lot of students decide to participate in the summer because they want to get ahead in a major or some prerequisites or major requirements. They want to meet some folks already on campus. We have an optional residential program I'll talk about in a minute, and build some confidence. So summer is a little bit slower than fall, and you have a lot of class opportunities of things you can do. You can take GE classes. You can kind of just get the pace and feel of a university level class before fall starts. That way you feel confident moving in. Next slide. So summer is the fourth quarter of the academic year. So UCSC works on a quarter system. So we have 10-week quarters. Summer is an optional quarter, and it's always an option for you. So this summer before your first fall is your early start option through Summer Edge, and then every other summer thereafter is your summer session option. So you can take advantage of the summer quarter and you can utilize it as a strategy to get ahead. Some students decide to take it and do 3-year pathways and graduate in 3 years for some of the most popular majors. Some students decide they want to add a minor or explore a major if you're not really sure what you want to do or you want to get the sense of a certain area before you commit to it. Summer is a great time to do that. Also, if you're feeling like maybe you're a little bit behind in some prerequisite requirements, for example, a lot of STEM students need to start in math right away in the fall. And so if you're not feeling quite up to that, math level, you can take a math class in the summer and that way you can start on time in the fall. So there's a lot of different options for students. In order to participate, the only thing you need to do is complete your statement of intent to register. So this is a program for admitted students that are coming in fall. So once you complete your SIR, then you can register for Summer Edge. The registration itself is free. It allows us to set you up for the earlier summer start, and then you would choose your classes. So we recognize that coming in, you probably don't know what classes you should be taking that would help you. And so we can definitely help you. We meet with students all the time to talk about your summer goals and what classes that you could take. So, like I mentioned, some students want to do major classes, some want to do GEs, some just want to take a class, in an area of interest or to explore an area. Everything that you take in the summer counts towards your degree. So you get credits towards your degree. You may meet some requirements at the same time, but everything is going to help you move forward and to graduate on time. So the program is a 7 credit minimum program. So that's 2 classes. Most classes are 5 credits at UCSC, but there are some that are 2, 3. You might find some that are 6 or 7. But for the most part, it's 5 credits. And summer is a little different than fall in the sense that even though it's a 10-week quarter, most classes are taught in a session, and most of the sessions are an accelerated 5-week pace. So that's session 1, the first 5 weeks of summer, or session 2, the last 5 weeks of summer. It does give you some opportunity for flexibility. So you can take classes all in one session. You can break them up over sessions and maybe just focus on one at a time. That can be really helpful to really get a feel for what it's like to be doing these university classes. You can take classes online or you can take classes in person. If you do decide to take in-person classes, you do have the option to move to campus for the Edge residential experience. That takes place in session 2, the last 5 weeks of summer, and you would live in a cohort with other new admits and live in peer mentors that are there to basically answer your questions help you understand what it's like to be a student, direct you to resources. So anything that's going to be useful in helping you understand what it's like to be a UCSC student, that's what they're there for. They run programming, and I'll talk about that in a minute for you, but that's an option. So if you decide you want to come in person, you can come to campus early. Next slide. So for the residential experience, as I mentioned, it's 5 weeks. It's in session 2. You would take at least one of your classes in session 2, if not both. We do plan our programming to span both social and academic workshops. So we'll do things on and off campus. You'll get to know local Santa Cruz culture. You'll get to know your way around campus. You'll be doing academic things. There's opportunities for resume building, note taking. You'll connect with a lot of resources. We do talk to students, after they've completed the program, and we do a survey. And overwhelmingly, students who participate find this is really beneficial for their start into UCSC. Fall is very exciting, and there's also thousands of students that come to campus. And summer's a little bit slower. So if you're feeling nervous or you might want to take it a little bit slower, it's a good choice. So our early summer move-in happens on July 24th. That is a Friday before session 2 classes start. And we do welcome weekend. So we do a lot of activities over the weekend to help you acclimate to campus quickly and start making friends right away, because that's a really important part of being a student at UCSC, is building your local community. It is an extra cost for housing and dining. Slug points, which are our dining option in summer, are included in your housing costs, and we'll talk about costs in a minute. And those slug points can be used at the dining hall, at your coffee bars, and campus markets. And then you do have some live-in support, again, with those student peer mentors. So these are continuing students. A lot of them have done Summer Edge. They all have experience being a student on campus. They come from different majors and backgrounds. And so they're really there to help support you and make you feel comfortable throughout your summer start. So the workshops and events run the full 5 weeks. We actually have a full calendar of exciting things. They are optional events. We try to run a lot of them in the evenings and weekends so more students can participate, because you'll be taking classes at the same time. But those are really fun and good opportunities that we hope you'll take advantage of. And then if you are living on campus in our residential experience in session 2, and you also have a fall housing accommodation, then you have a choice to either stay on campus through transitional housing and move in early to your fall accommodation, or you can leave campus and come back for fall move-in. There is about a 3-week gap between the end of session 2 and the start of fall. So those are some options for you. There's no storage on campus, and so some students want to stay in transitional housing so they don't need to move their things out again. But it's really up to the student and what you feel comfortable with. Next slide. So the cost and financial aid. So summer is billed differently and separately than fall, winter, and spring, since it is an optional quarter. It is a cost per credit tuition model. And this summer, the cost per credit is $291. As I mentioned before, there is a 7 credit minimum. So you can see over on the right that there's an example for how much your tuition would cost if you stuck to the 7 credits of the program. You can also take more credits if you decide to. And as a UCSC student, you qualify for the pay for only 10 discount in summer. So you won't pay more than 10 credits, even if you take more than that. I don't necessarily recommend that students coming in take more than that, because getting used to what that pace is like, the accelerated pace, what classes are like, we really want to make sure you can be successful. But keep in mind that that's something that happens every year. So even next summer, if you wanted to take more credits, you could essentially be taking some classes for free. The 7 credit minimum is tied to financial aid. So we want you to stick to the 7 credit minimum, because at that point you become eligible for all of the forms of financial aid. Current students must take 12 credits to have the same eligibility. So this is a special program as related to financial aid. You can take fewer credits and still qualify for more aid. So that's really important. And another really important point is that because summer's the fourth quarter of the year, and you've already submitted an application, either a FAFSA or DREAM Act application for fall, winter, spring, and next summer, if you decide to take summer classes, you would need to log back into that same application, and you would complete one for 25-26 year. That's because we are the fourth quarter of the last academic year. So you can still do that. That application is open until June 30th. So that would be 2 financial aid applications. That's the really important thing. And the other important thing is that you must be enrolled in at least 7 credits and have your financial aid application on file before you get a summer aid offer. We do have a Summer Edge Promise Award. It's a special grant for the program that can cover the 7 credits of tuition and the campus fee for eligible students with high financial need as based through that application. So on top of the tuition, I mentioned the campus fee. So this is a one-time per quarter fee. It is not a fee for the use of campus, but instead it's a fee that is charged at every UC campus every quarter for all students who take online or in-person classes. So even if you take a class in session 1 and in session 2, you would pay that once per quarter. So the tuition and campus fee are your base costs for summer. Then your potential costs might be housing and dining. If you choose to come live on campus and move in for Edge Residential, you would pay that additional housing and dining fee. So the example we have over there is for a triple room, which is the most common room configuration on campus and at Stevenson College, where we'll be living this summer. If you live with more people, then you would pay less. And if you go into a smaller room and live with fewer people, you pay more. But I will say that there are not a lot of doubles and singles on campus, and most students will likely be living in a triple. There's also your UC SHIP. So if you do enroll in summer classes, all students are required to have health insurance and will be automatically enrolled in UC SHIP, which is the UC Health Insurance. It is continuous coverage from your start date until fall. So if you take a session 1 class, you will be charged from the start of session 1 until the beginning of fall, even if you're only in session 1. If you only take session 2 classes, you'll pay less because you'll be charged from the beginning of session 2 until fall. Now, UC SHIP is waivable. If you already have eligible health insurance, then you can go in and waive that, and that would take that cost away. But it is an action that you would take on your part. Next slide. All right, so dates and deadlines. So again, you'd have to complete your statement of intent to register. And at that point, if you want to get started in Summer Ed, you can. Our registration is actually open now, and it's open until June 15th. If you register, you're not obligated to enroll in summer. It doesn't cost anything to register. So if you think you might want to take summer classes, then I recommend you do that registration. That way you're set up and ready to go. And if you decide you can't do it or don't want to do it, then you can always cancel your registration. So tomorrow, important date, we're going to do a webinar about math placement in Summer Ed. So I just want to point that out. And then in May, summer enrollment opens for registered students. So once you register on May 1st, starting at 1 p.m., you'll be able to enroll in summer classes. And again, those classes are things that we can help you choose so that you're not on your own. The housing application also opens for summer on May 1st. So that's a big date. May 1st also happens to be your deadline to submit your statement of intent to register in general. So even if you think you're not coming for summer, just keep that May 1 deadline in mind. Now in June, it is recommended that you finish your math placement by June 1st if you're taking a major, if you're planning a major that requires math. You can find out more about that by Googling math placement. You can come to our webinar tomorrow. But that placement will let you know what level you're placed into and give you the option to maybe enroll in summer classes if it's not what you expect, or maybe you just want to get ahead. So June 15th, our registration closes for Summer Edge. And then June 22nd is the start of our session 1 8-week and 10-week classes. And as I mentioned before, June 30th is your deadline to submit that 2025-2026 FAFSA or DREAM application for summer aid. July is a big month for our session 2 in Edge Residential. So move in for Edge Residential is July 24th. And then July 27th is when session 2 classes begin. Next slide. So again, I just want to give a shout out. So tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m., we do have a free webinar. It's our Start Strong in STEM. It's about math placement and the Summer Edge Advantage. Amy and her colleague and I will be presenting at that as well. You'll learn more about that math placement and some options for summer. You would scan the QR code to register. It's free registration. And like tonight, we will send the recording to folks who do register for it. So you'll learn what's expected from STEM majors, how to get a head start if you're a STEM major, And then you'll learn about the ALEX learning modules and the math placement tool and how to take advantage of that. Next slide. All right, now I'm going to pass it over to Luis to talk a little bit about summer financial aid.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. So again, thank you for joining us today. So financial aid requirements and Summer Edge Promise Award, as Lindsay was mentioning, there's a Promise Award for students that they can qualify for to help pay for tuition and fees during the Summer Edge program. But for financial aid eligibility requirements, we will need a minimum of, enrollment of at least seven credits to maximize your financial aid eligibility. Like Lindsay mentioned, you could take more than that, but the minimum that we were required to maximize your package for the summer program would be seven credits, at least seven credits. And also, like Lindsay mentioned, it's very important to submit the 25-26 FAFSA application or Dream Act application by June 30th. I would say the sooner the better, because we do begin packaging for summer at the beginning of June. And the earlier we have your FAFSA application or Dream Act application, the earlier we can package you with financial aid for the Summer Edge program and the summer quarter. So in addition to the 26-27 application, if you haven't submitted that one either, please submit it as soon as you can. But you would need both applications, right? Another very important step that a lot of times delays the actual package for students is one that they submit the 25-26 FAFSA application or Dream Act application late or closer to the June 30th deadline or after the Summer Edge program started. So that delays the package for the students. The other one is the verification process. So similar to what happens in the fall quarter, for the upcoming fall quarter, once you submit your 25-26 FAFSA or Dream Act application, and it's very important to include UCSC in the school on the application, because that way we can receive it in our system and be able to load it to our system and process that financial aid eligibility and determine the eligibility of how much financial aid you qualify for the summer program. So very important to include the UCSC school code. If you're a transfer student and you've already submitted the 25-26 application at a previous institution, like a community college, you will just have to log into that same application and add UCSC into the application to be able to, for us to get the application and determine your eligibility. So once we receive your application, our system goes through a process called verification, where we start requesting additional information. If you get selected for verification by the Department of Education or by our institution verification, we'll send requests to your student portal under your to-do list items, requesting a verification documents. And those documents vary from situation and the type of verification that you get selected for. For example, it could be related to, a citizenship document to be eligible for the FAFSA application, for example, or it could be related to tax documents like income information for your income or your parents' family income, and that's something for like the tax documents or W-2s or information like that. So you'll get a request on your to-do list item requesting you that you have been selected for verification, and it'll have a description of what we're requesting, and it'll have a link to our online portal where we collect documents, which is called My Aid Verified, right? So you log into and create an account for My Aid Verified, and you'll be able to see the documents that we requested, like, for example, a W-2 or a tax document. And that may also, again, like I mentioned, it could delay the timing of when you receive your financial aid if you delayed in submitting those documents. So very important to keep an eye out on your student portal as you begin to enroll in classes for the summer or the fall, and also as you know say yes to UCSC and submit your SAR, we'll start sending those notifications if you get selected for verification. So very, very important. Um, like I mentioned, for transfer students, just making sure that you added the school code 001321 to your current application if you already submitted one. If not, if it's a brand new application that you're submitting for 25-26, make sure you add the school code. That way we get it in our system and can determine your eligibility. The Summer Edge Promise Award is available to high needs in-state and selected out-of-state students. And the way that we determine the high need is based on the FAFSA or Dream Act application that students submit the 25-26. And that Summer Edge Promise Award covers 100% of the 7 credit minimum tuition and fees, right? So it covers the full amount of the tuition and fees. And then students with a greater financial need may be eligible for additional need-based aid or additional grant funding, additional need-based aid, such as maybe a subsidized loan or university grant to help you cover for additional expenses if you took, for example, more than 7 credits, up to 10 credits, right? Or, in some cases, you can use that additional need-based aid, or even if you get financial aid that is not need-based, like unsubsidized loans or parent or private loan options, you can use those amounts to help pay for like housing or other expenses like books and supplies and things like that. So we provide you with that financial aid package for the Summer Edge program based on the estimated cost of the summer program, of the summer quarter, based on the enrollment that you have, not only for credits, but the number of sessions that you're enrolled in the summer. And then from there, you are able to accept whatever financial aid you wish to accept to help you cover not only the tuition and fees, for example, the health insurance cost if you don't waive it, but also like housing cost or any other expenses that you may have if you that you might be getting billed for, right? So that financial aid need is determined with the information that is provided in the 25-26 FAFSA application for the summer. Something very important as far as the 25-26 FAFSA application is that application uses tax information and income information from 2023. So we're in 2026, right? So that's 3 years ago. If for some reason, the income information that is required on the application is no longer valid for your financial situation and your family, for example, maybe there was a loss of job or a reduction of income situation that happened between 2023 and the current year, we do have an appeal process that students can submit to our office where we collect income information, pay stubs, or tax information, and we can make a correction to your FAFSA application or Dream Act application and receive that correction into our system to be able to determine the new eligibility with the current financial information and situation in your family. Similar to what you can do also for the fall, you can do it also for this upcoming summer with the 25-26 FAFSA or Dream Act application. So keep that in mind. That is something that I didn't know when I first attended a university, that I could appeal for my financial aid. So always keep those in mind. And like Amy mentioned, there's no question you can't ask. Like, please come on and ask us if you have any questions about the package that you receive, your eligibility, if you can appeal or if you qualify for a certain appeal, definitely let us know. And a very important piece also that happens in the summer, more than usually during the academic year, is the risk factors of maybe getting a financial aid reduction or cancellation of your financial aid if there's a change in enrollment within the summer. So dropping below the 7 credits and you already have received your financial aid, that could potentially cancel your financial aid, reduce it, depending on how many credits you drop below the 7 credits. So very important to enroll in the 7 credits to maximize your financial aid package, but also to complete those credits to keep the financial aid that you do receive. If for some reason you have to change your enrollment or drop units, please check in with our office first, so that we can explain and advise you on how it's going to impact your aid before you do move forward with that. Same thing as withdrawing from courses throughout the summer or the summer quarter completely. If you enroll in summer quarter and you receive your financial aid and then you decide you want to withdraw from the quarter, that could impact your financial aid, and it's very important to check in with our office to determine how much or how it will impact your financial aid package that you had already received when we initially packaged you with financial aid. Another reason that might impact or reduce your financial aid is if your admission is canceled, if it's deferred, or if you withdraw your statement of intent to register your SAR, and again, if you had already received the financial aid package and accepted the package, and we distributed it out to your billing account to help for that balance, or maybe you got it as a refund to help pay for other expenses. If any of those changes happened within that quarter and that timing, you would essentially, maybe have to pay back that financial aid, or your financial aid will be reduced or canceled potentially. So always very important to keep that in mind and check in with our office. Another important piece I would say is, as Lindsay mentioned, just because you can take more than the pay for 10 credits and you can take more than that credits, I think it's, you don't have to, and it's important to kind of be honest with yourself about how many credits you can take in the summer, because it is a little more fast-paced summer session. And one of the common things that happens in the fall quarter is with the students who took summer courses and maybe they didn't do as well in the summer academically, they might be in a situation where they need to appeal to our office for satisfactory academic progress, because maybe they fell below 2.0 GPA, or they fell behind on credits, or different situations, and that delays the financial aid for the fall quarter. So again, working with your academic advisors and academic team, and as well checking in with our office constantly regarding situations that might be going on with the credit enrollment or grades as well. So please check in with us about that. Next slide, please. So I wanted to provide kind of like example of a package for the summer edge, based on the eight or more week session, which would be like 5-week session 1 or the 5-week session 2 combined, or there's an 8-week session that you can enroll in, or there's the 10-week session that you can enroll in. So as long as you're enrolled in the 8 weeks or more, this is what your financial aid package would look like for the Summer Edge program. In scenario number A is a first-year student coming out from high school with an SAI number of 1,000, right? The SAI number is it's the Student Aid Index number, stands for a Student Aid Index number, and that's the number that our office and you as a student, when you submit your FAFSA or DREAM Act application, you get from the Department of Education. You get that number called Student Aid Index number, which is we also call it a SAI number. And that number helps universities determine the type of financial aid that you qualify for and how much you qualify for based on the estimated cost of attendance for the specific quarter or for the academic year. So in scenario number A, we have a first-year student coming straight from high school with a SAI number of 1,000. They're enrolled in 7 credits, and their financial aid package will look like this. They would get a federal Pell Grant, which is a grant. When we mention grants, it's gift money that you don't have to pay back. Again, unless you drop your courses or situations like that, but as long as you complete the 7 credits, you get the Pell Grant amount for 1,237 based on that SAI number. In addition to that, you would get the Promise Award, the 2,393 that helps you pay for tuition and the fees. You would also qualify for a smaller university grant amount for $703. And then on top of that, we also offer you the student loans, federal student loans, um, like subsidized student loan for 3,500 and an unsubsidized loan for up to $2,000. And in addition, you could also have your parents take out a Parent Plus loan or a private loan up to 2,377, which would equal the total aid package of $12,210, which is the estimated cost of attendance of the summer session of 8 weeks or more at 7 credit enrollment, right? For the Summer Edge program specifically. Now, if you're a student who submits a DREAM Act application, it would look a little bit different than this package because this is for a FAFSA application package. For example, as a DREAM Act applicant, you wouldn't qualify for the federal aid such as the Pell Grant or the student subsidized loan or unsubsidized loan. However, you would still qualify for the Promise Award. And if you do not qualify for the Pell Grant, we would just increase your university grant to make up the amount that the Pell Grant would essentially be giving you. So the amount of financial aid that you would get would be the same in this case at a 1,000 SAI number at 7 credit enrollment. It would just come in from a different source. Instead of a Pell Grant, it would be more university grant. And also instead of the subsidized loan, you would be receiving a DREAM loan, a California DREAM loan, and or university loan depending on the eligibility. But it would be a very similar package as far as like the total grant amount and the total 12,210 package as well. I do want to leave some time for questions, but I do want to share that we do have a Summer Edge calculator on our website so that you can go in specifically using your individual SAI number and eligibility income information. You can use that Summer Edge calculator and it will give you an estimate of what would be your total grant amount that you would be able to receive. The next slide, please. I'll leave this at the top. Here's our drop-in advising from 9 to 12 that we're open for you to drop in through our Zoom advising. If you want to talk to an advisor for specific questions about your specific eligibility using your specific financial aid application, we also are open in the front desk from 1 to 5. We have an email and our website, financialaid.ucsc.edu. There's the calculator in our website that you can find, and also a lot of information about Summer Edge, summer program, and even the academic year as well. We're open Monday through Friday, except on holidays. So at any time, please feel free to check in with us.
All right, thank you so much, Louise, and thank you everybody who's presenting here. The Q&A is open, so if you have questions, please feel free to pepper them in there. And I just want to mention a common theme throughout all of our offices and presentations that we really hope you'll take home with you today is that no question is a silly question. The whole campus is here to support you. There's so much involved in the support network to help you be successful. And we don't want you to feel like you ever don't belong here or there's something that, you should know because there really is no should, right? It's a new experience. And so reaching out for anything that you have, we're really here to help you and we want to help answer those questions for you. All right, so we'll give you some time to pepper in any questions if you have them. Hopefully you got a lot out of that. I do want to repeat that we are recording this webinar. We will send it out to everybody who's registered at the end, so you have it. You have our contact information as well. And you can always reach out. We're available for you now for any questions that you have as well. All right. It looks like
I'll take this first answer.
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Louise, are you writing it or do you want to answer it live?
Oh, I was typing in, but yeah, I can answer it just on live. We do package students with the full estimated cost of attendance of the summer edge cost. As I mentioned earlier in this slide, that package includes the gift money, which is the grants, and also the available loans that you can utilize. So we consider loans as part of financial aid, and it is financial aid. So it's a combination of grants and loans. If you are eligible for grants, you'll get grants and you'll get loans. If you're only eligible for loans, you'll only get loans. But we do package you up to the cost of attendance, and depending on how much you accept, that's where the amount that you accept would depend on how much it covers of your cost. But you do have enough of that package to help pay for both tuition and fees and housing costs. But I do want to mention that not everything is covered with grant funding. You would need to use some of your student loans, or parent loan or private loan. But we do recommend scholarships, looking into scholarships that help reduce the loans as well.
Great. Thank you. I see some questions about, Summer Edge and the housing and housing transition from summer to fall. So you would live with your roommates in Summer Edge, and then you would not stay with them during the fall. So as you apply to UCSC and complete your statement of intent to register, you're also going to be affiliated with one of our colleges. And generally, new students will go and live in their college of affiliation during the fall. So in summer, all students live in one college together because there's not as many people on campus. And so you can either move into the transitional housing, and that might require a move from your summer room into transitional, or you might be able to move directly into your fall assignment. It just depends on whether the room is ready yet, because a lot of groups come and go over the summer. So once things are ready, the goal is to get you there as soon as possible. All right, I also see a question. So the online version of Summer Edge as an option. So in summer, there are hundreds of classes offered from over 40 departments, and these are your standard UCSC classes. They're just offered in a different format, usually accelerated in 5 weeks. But the majority of our summer classes are actually offered in an online option, and that's because we really recognize that students in summer need that flexibility. You may not be on campus, you may not have the housing that you have in fall, winter, and spring. And so there are a lot of options to complete your classes in the summer. Or you can even mix it up if you want to do, for example, an online class in session one and you want to do an in-person class and come for Edge Residential in session two. You also have that option, but it's totally up to you.
I'll go ahead and address that math assessment question now. For the math assessment, is that solely for first year students or also for transfer students as well? And I just want to pause because I'm sorry if you hear my dog in the background. This is her medication slash dinner time, so she's very upset. But hopefully Zoom is canceling it out. Okay, back to the question. Um, you want to focus as if you are a transfer student, you want to focus on submitting your transcripts and getting those processed as early as possible. The Alex placement is more focused on entry-level courses. So, like if you still need to fulfill your math GE, which as a transfer student, you likely have that covered, calculus, or chemistry. And I typically don't see students come in with that. I say all of that, and it's not going to hurt you to do the Alex placement because if you are able to get access to that, it has these really great practice modules for math. So it can even just be like a good tutoring tool for any math concepts and subjects that you might encounter in some of your upper division courses. So you could just use it like a refresher. Whatever score you get in Alex, whatever you have on your student profile that is considered the highest in terms of your placement or your credit, that's what will be honored. So let's say that you take the assessment as a transfer student and it actually places you in something that you already have credit for. You don't have to repeat it, right? Like you will be okay. Whatever you have that is the highest level, that's what will be honored. So, transfer students, first years, I would encourage you to get an Alex profile because it's a really great tutoring and study tool.
Great. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
All right. I see questions about signing up for classes for Edge. So, in order to access summer enrollment, you have to first register for Edge. So, summer enrollment will only be available to registered Edge students. Again, that registration itself is free. So, you can do that until June 15th. And then you would sign up for classes on your My UCSC student portal. You can access the Summer Edge website. So, if you go to summer.ucsc.edu, and navigate to Summer Edge, you'll see a lot of resources, including how to register and some options and guides for how to choose classes. Beyond that, you can always reach out and we can help you. And so, both transfers and first year students are welcome to take classes through Summer Edge, and there may be some different recommendations because of the different coursework you've accomplished. Maybe because of some AP or IB exam credit that you're bringing in, there might be different classes that you're taking. But yes, anybody can do online or in person. All right. It's looking like maybe we've answered all your questions. Oh, wait, here we have another one. Financial aid for fall. So this is mostly summer, but I'll let Louise chime in as our financial aid expert here.
Yeah, so very quickly, so as long as all verification documents are submitted and everything looks good on your file, a specific file, um, we are estimating that financial aid packages will go out late July, starting late July, and it's a process that continues on throughout late July and August until the beginning of the fall quarter. So, which is why it's super important. I mentioned checking your to-do list items constantly and checking in with our office in case there's documents that you need to submit.
Great, thank you. In terms of costs for the sessions, yes, you can know the cost of your session because again, it's based per credit. That campus fee is a set fee. And so based on the number of credits you enroll in, you can calculate your costs. In terms of financial aid, you would need to be enrolled in your 7 credits and have your 2025-2026 application on file in order to get a financial aid offer. And I recognize that can be scary. It's different than fall where you get your aid and then you enroll in classes. So I do want to encourage anybody who's interested, we encourage you to do both of those things early. You can do your 2025-2026 application, enroll in classes starting May 1st. That's when enrollment opens, then get your aid offer, and then you have until the drop deadlines to be able to drop your classes without penalty. So if for any reason your aid package is not what you expect or your plans change, you can still drop your classes and you won't have to pay that tuition and campus fee. So really getting started early is the key to making sure that you have those options going forward.
We don't have an SAI calculator. The SAI number or student aid index number, you get it automatically when you submit your FAFSA or Dream Act application. After you submit that, they give you that number. But we do have the Summer Edge calculator on our website, and it's the financialaid.ucsc website. And or you can always, I always tell students, you can always Google UCSC financial aid, and the first link that comes up, it's our financial aid website, which is different than the regular UCSC website. So it's a specific financial aid website. And then you can find that information on the summer section. You could always also Google UCSC Summer Edge calculator, and it'll give you a link straight to the calculator there as well.
And then
Thank you, Nancy.
for transitional housing, it is a slight extra cost. It's not as much as your, 5-week session, but there is an extra cost associated with transitional housing and your early arrivals into your fall accommodation. So that is posted on the housing website. All of the fees are available. So again, most of our websites are .ucsc.edu. So in this case, housing.ucsc.edu. If you navigate to summer housing, you can find all of those costs on there. So for some people, that might be less of a cost than traveling back home if you have, airplanes, flights you have to look into, or gas, anything like that. So just know that is an option, and you would have to weigh your options at that point. All right. So it's looking like we don't have any more questions in the chat. I'll answer this last one and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But we do invite you to reach out to us at any time. You can contact us. Our information is on the website. It's in the slides. We'll send out this webinar. So please do reach out. We're happy to answer your questions now and, up until you get started and throughout the process because we want to make sure that you are supported in this journey. So, in your statement of intent to register, this last question here, as a commuter student, can you still apply for Summer Edge housing? So your statement of intent to register and all of your fall information is separate from summer. You can live in Summer Edge housing if you are enrolled in classes, and that doesn't matter if it's in-person classes or online classes. As long as you're enrolled in more than one credit, so your slug orientation course is the only class that doesn't count towards that. But any other classes you enroll in, you are eligible to live on campus for the session that you're enrolled in. So if you'd like to live on campus 10 weeks, you certainly can. If you just want to come to our highly supported residential program, then at least one session 2 class you would want to enroll in. Okay, so we're a little bit past 7. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We really appreciate you spending your evening with us. And again, we're just so happy to congratulate you on your admission, all the hard work that you've done to get here. And we welcome you and hope that you'll reach out if you have any questions for us. So have a good evening.